Hi, I'm Connie Moser. I'd like to welcome you to another edition of Knights at the Round Table. Tonight, my guest is Kathy Bentz from Bentz Communications. Kathy, thank you so much for coming. Kathy's firm is a communications LLC.
Yes, it's
Okay.
Bentz Communications LLC,
Uh-huh.
cleverly named because I'm Kathy Bentz. It took me a long time to come up with that. I do sort of a mix of things. It started off just public relations and marketing, but I also do a lot of strategic planning, facilitation, and project management.
For private firms or?
Mostly I do now for nonprofit organizations. My background was government. I worked on Capitol Hill for a couple of years and worked for the county government for 12 years.
Uh-huh.
But now I mostly work with nonprofits, which I love.
Do you get to telework?
I do get to telework quite a bit. It depends on which client and which day, but I get to do a lot of telework. I have a lovely home office that overlooks the deer and the fox and the possums.
Oh.
But, then there's meetings and out in the community, so it's a nice mix of things.
And you're a chamber member too, right?
I am a member of the Chamber of Commerce and a proud graduate of Leadership Prince William, class of 2010, third is superb. I had to sneak that in there.
We all have our catchphrase, don't
That's
we? So let's talk a little bit about some of the different organizations that you help. I know you facilitate, you do public relations work, you do advertisement, you do, what else do you do?
And kind of depends on the client. I'll start with one of the ones that I know you're very familiar with, the Americans in Wartime Museum.
Uh-huh.
And I love working with them because they're a new museum that will be coming to Dale City. We are, in fact, if anybody drives near there, we'll be kind of across from where the Kmart is, across Gideon Drive, and we're already doing site work, so you might see bulldozers and dirt being moved and all
Drive
that.
down there every week.
We have a big sign there. It's dedicated to veterans and others who served America during wartime from World War I forward.
Uh-huh.
So it might be someone who was a soldier in World War I, or a Gold Star mother who lost a child in wartime, or someone who was in the Merchant Marines. So lots of different ways people have served the country in wartime. Mm-hmm. And we are lucky to have our founder, Alan Kors, has this incredible collection of military vehicles. It's one of the largest private collections we know of in the world, uh-huh. And it's fully operational. So where he keeps the vehicles now, you might hear, a Sherman tank might be rumbling out there one day, an ambulance that was in Patton's army, motorcycles, Humvees. So it's more than 100 pieces of working armor. And why those are important is because they will let us tell the stories of the people who served. They'll kind of be the backdrop. Uh-huh. One story just that really kind of tells about the mission of the museum. A couple of years ago, or a few years ago, remember when the World War II Memorial was being dedicated downtown? They invited us to bring a few of our vehicles to display for a few days. Mm-hmm. And we were down there, and there was a young man who came up and said his father wanted to go behind the ropes and get closer to one of the tanks we had. It was a Sherman, and we were like, oh, sure. And so they took his father behind the ropes, and literally kind of this silence fell, and the father just touched the tank. Just literally was just touching the tank. And all of a sudden he started telling about his World War II service, uh-huh. Because he'd been in that exact type of tank. And he was the only crew member from his tank to come out of the war alive. He was in some of the major battles. His family told us later he'd never told those stories until that day he touched that tank. It makes my hair stand up.
I know. It's a terrible loss. There's so many stories that will never be heard. My father-in-law was shot down in World War II, and he never told his family what happened. And before he died, I tried to get him. I said, please, we have this museum, and they're recording history, and it would be a wonderful way for you to share your story. But he was reluctant to do that, and now he's gone.
Yeah, and we want to capture those stories. We're already collecting oral history interviews. We have volunteers, mm-hmm. most of whom work for the Prince William County Police Department and do this in their spare time. And they've gotten several dozen of these interviews compiled so far, but we have people lined up who want to do it. And we're focusing a lot on the World War II and Korean generation now, so we get them while we can. Uh-huh. But that's a big piece because, again, it's it's not just battles and tactics and tanks, it's telling those stories.
Do we have to wait till the museum is open to hear those, or are they accessible online somewhere, or?
They are accessible online. We have a YouTube channel, the Americans in Wartime Museum, or you can go to our website, nmaw.org, and you can go there and there's a link to them. But yeah, we've already kind of condensed them down into short pieces that people can access, and we're actually working on a whole section of the website that people will be able to go and start searching. So they maybe want to search for someone who served in Vietnam, or search for someone who was in Virginia, from Virginia. So we'll have sort of this searchable database of the videos as we move forward. And we're sharing them with the Library of Congress as well.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
So
Tell me if this is out of place, but what about funding? Everyone wants to know, how are we going to pay for it?
How are we going to pay for that? That's the big job. We have a national board of trustees, because this is a national museum located here in Prince William County, but a national museum. So our national board, and there's a fundraising firm, they have to raise $50 million for the first phase of this museum. That's a big chunk of change. And the past year was much more successful for us than the previous couple when the economy was not cooperating.
Right.
So I think we made a lot of progress. We have had, also the site has been donated by the Hilton family of Prince William County, and they've donated several million in the site work. Also, in terms of the site work, because the Hot Lanes project is going on, so we're getting a lot of the fill and the dirt donated. And we're just going out literally all over the country and meeting with folks who hopefully have a like mind, who maybe they were a veteran, a family member was, corporations, and that's the job of the national board and our founder. That's not my job, fortunately. I get to do the local community relations, but that's what they need to do, is raise $50 million for that first phase.
That seems like a huge job. But the second thing that everyone is concerned about is traffic. What happens if the museum opens and it's successful, like we want it to be, then what will happen to traffic there at that intersection at Ashdale and Dale Boulevard?
Right, but Gideon and Dale.
Gideon, that's right.
Right. Well, a couple things. As we go forward, we'll work with the county in terms of traffic studies and looking at lanes and all those kind of things. One thing that's good, and we've talked to a lot of people in the community, if you think about when people are coming to visit us, it is not when rush hour traffic is. Most people don't go to a museum at 5 o'clock on Thursday afternoon or at 8 o'clock on Tuesday morning. So ours would be off-peak hours, and a lot of ours would be weekends too, the special events. So we would not be doing special events, again, when we're competing with commuter and rush hour traffic. Because why would we want to do that? We're right off 95. So, and you know how museums kind of the cycle. So the good thing is our events and activities would largely be off-peak, off-commuting hours, and we will work with the county in terms of traffic, and we'll also be talking perhaps, and maybe I'm giving this away, want to talk with folks, the new parking garage that will be just down the road where the new baseball stadium will be, for special events, if we need overflow parking. Because again, we want to kind of spread that. You could run a shuttle? Exactly, and make that work a little bit better. So we know, I lived in Dale City for a number of years, drove Dale Boulevard every day, so we certainly understand that.
We have talked with a number of people, John Gray and just friends of ours. We talk about the burden on Prince William County residents, because all of our infrastructure is supported by residential tax dollars. So the prospect of, to me, we don't really have a lot of Class A architecture to attract business. We don't have really a whole lot of space to put business, and particularly on the eastern side of the county. So tax dollars that are generated by tourism would be an ideal situation, because you have people coming to have dinner, and they shop at Potomac Mills, and they go and they visit our museum, and then they go home, and they don't put kids in our schools, and they don't crowd up our roads. They're just here temporarily. They're not using the water and the electricity, and they're just here to visit.
Well, and one of the nice things that we like about the site that we have, I mean, our museum will certainly attract people who, you know, they're interested in American history, they're interested in wartime, a lot of field trips. But if you think about that corridor we're located on, we're obviously just a couple of exits away from the Marine Corps Museum, a couple exits the other way from the new Army Museum. Going at, you have, you know, Civil War battlefields, you have the attractions downtown, and whoever gets credit for it, someone has dubbed it the corridor of military history. Because if you think about bringing tourists in, it would be great if they came to our museum. It would be great if they came to our museum and the Marine Corps Museum and the Army or the battlefield, stayed overnight, got some hotel dollars in addition to the restaurants and the shopping and all that. So we're really hoping, and in our proximity to Potomac Mills is not something lost upon us. You know, that's something, if you think about military or veterans reunions, which is a big market, that would be something we'd be trying to attract, those kind of groups. We will have something in the museum called the National Veterans Visitor Center, and we envision it a couple ways. So veterans groups come, we will have space where they could meet, have events, but we're also going to have research facilities. Maybe they want to track down somebody from their unit or who served in a particular conflict, and then lots of educational events, roundtables, those kind of things. So I want to make that a hub. Oh, and the oral history, a permanent recording studio for those oral histories there.
Well, we know it can be done because the battlefield tours that we had this summer generated a lot, not last summer, generated a lot of interest, and we had a lot of tourists come in, and they were very well featured. We had, what's the bus company? I can't think of it, but the national bus company that advertised that as a featured trip. So we know it can be done.
Yeah.
So I'm really looking forward to that, and I hope we're going to be successful.
Yes. So do we. And like I said, we feel a lot more positive than if you had asked me these questions 2 years ago with the economy and everything going on. But I think things are going in a much more positive direction in terms of the campaign. People, and now, you know, once people see dirt moving, it makes them prospective donors, or they see Alan Corr's vehicle collection. There's something real and tangible, not just pie in the sky. So.
Did you just want to mention the tank event, the tank
farm? Oh, yes. And in fact, I know the dates for this
year.
year. For anybody who hasn't been there, once a year at our current facilities, our founder has a place out in Nokesville that we lovingly call the Tank Farm. We don't grow tanks there, but we feature tanks there. And we do an open house every year. This year it will be August 17th and 18th, Saturday and Sunday, from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. both days. And the tanks, we bring them out, we do demonstrations, we auction off some rides for people who come out. Sometimes we'll bring in maybe a Black Hawk helicopter. Last year we had some Fort Belvoir brought their bomb-sniffing dogs who had been in Iraq. We had veterans roundtables. It's just really, it's a 2-day preview of what the permanent museum will be like. So thanks for pitching that for me.
Okay, well, I don't want to take up your whole time with the Wartime Museum because I know you're also an arts liaison, and I'm sure you want to talk a little bit about that.
I do, and in fact, I'll start since you're giving me event plugs. I work with the Prince William County Arts Council, which is a member organization. We have 50 plus members, and it's everything, every type of art you can imagine: dance, theater, visual arts, literary arts, music, singing, all types of arts. It's individuals, it's small groups, large groups, professional groups, amateur groups, really it covers the gamut. But basically we are designed to support those artists and arts organizations, but also to help the community understand who we are and how they can be involved in the arts. And one of our biggest things is once a year we host, this is our 3rd annual Arts Alive Festival. And it will be on Saturday, April 13th at the Hilton Performing Arts Center. We do it in partnership with them, an all-day free family event. People can come out and watch all of these groups perform, but even more fun, especially for the kids, is they can engage in it. They can paint, last year there was a belly dancing demonstration. Lots of little girls were into that one. We're going to have a community art project so that everybody who comes can be part of it. The Right by the Rails group that I know you've talked with, they'll be doing readings from their books. We'll have clogging demonstrations. It's just really a wonderful free day of family entertainment, food, of course. And then we're closing at 8 p.m. There'll be a free concert by the U.S. Air Force Band. So all day local arts, closing in the evening with an Air Force Band concert. And again, I keep saying free because it's great for families. How often can you get to see a ballet, a theater performance, a choral group,
Sure.
whatever it might be, for free? So,
What's the capacity for that? I mean,
well, the main performing space in the Hilton, the Merchant Hall, can hold 1,100, a few hundred in the Gregory. We have their entire facility inside and out. So there will be 4 stages running at a time, because we'll also have an outdoor stage. We'll have demonstrations. We'll have an open air vendor market. The food vendors will be outside. So literally, we take every square inch inside, and now we're taking up the parking lot, the sidewalks.
that's a huge endeavor.
Yeah.
So. Are you coordinating all this?
Well, there's a team of us, obviously. So it's a partnership between the Arts Council and the Hilton Performing Arts Center. So we do. The fun part was the day you take 30-some groups in 4 stages, and some of say, well, I can't perform between 2 and 4 or 3 and 6, and so you're moving them all around. That's the fun day. And we accomplished that. So, but really, just a great local family event.
Can the public help you in some way? Or, I mean, other than obviously attending would be a key, but is there something else we could do?
use volunteers. In fact, we're heavily recruiting. I mean, it's everything from working in an information table, so people walk in the door and say, hey, where's Merchant Hall, where's this, where that. They can do that. We need people to kind of just help with directions. We need people to help sort of ushering. There's all kinds of roles. So they could, I think the easiest thing is to go to the Arts Council website, and there'll be a contact us page there, and that's pwcartscouncil.org.
Okay.
And then it has information about the festival and how to volunteer and all that good stuff.
Great.
So, yeah.
That sounds exciting.
It is. It's a good one.
Okay, I only have one more thing I think I want to talk to you about, and that would be the Greater Prince William Community Health Center, and that's here in Ridgewood Center, correct?
Right, yeah, just a couple doors away from where we are. That's another nonprofit that I work with. And, you know, the thing with nonprofits for me, and I know for you personally, they're kind of the fabric of the community.
Sure.
You know, obviously we have government, we have the business sector, but the nonprofits, they do so much with so little, and they make a difference in so many lives. And the health center is really one of those. Sort of this small gem. It's, you know, you and I could walk into the health center with our health insurance and get a primary care physician or a dentist and get treatment and walk out and not know we weren't in a regular doctor's office. But the health center, because they're a nonprofit and because they're what's called a federally qualified health center, they serve all, which means they serve those of us who are lucky enough to have health insurance and provide primary care, dental care, prenatal care, and behavioral health all in one space. But if you walk in and you're Medicaid, they welcome Medicaid, Medicare, TRICARE if you're a veteran. If you're uninsured, they have a sliding fee scale, so it's based on your income and your number of dependents. They literally serve all, regardless of age, income, or insurance status.
I'm going to tell you, I have been here 27 years, and I did not know that.
And that's the problem. I'll tell you that is a problem. Most people don't know that. They confuse us with the free clinic or the health department, and it's different. It's a different animal. Like I said, I mean, you know, I walk in there for dental care. Other people walk in for their, you know, women's wellness exams. So you can get all of those services there in one location. And if you're a family, think about how nice it is that your doctor, your pediatrician, your OBGYN, your dentist, all in the same place. You could even, you know, bundle appointments. But it's that nonprofit mission again. I mean, they really, last year they served almost 30,000 patients.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's an incredible place.
I had no idea.
Yeah, we'll take you on a tour of it sometime.
I would like that. I would really like that.
And they have, you know, the nonprofit board of directors, which is people in the community. Some are doctors, some work for the hospitals were instrumental in helping form the health center. If you think back, there were, you know, before this was open, people were going to the emergency room for routine health care because if they didn't have insurance, they didn't know where else to go. So the hospitals were really supportive of creating it because instead of people taking up ER space, they can come to the health center and get affordable quality care and not take up the services that should be for real emergencies. So
Thank you
they've
so
been-
much for that information.
You're welcome.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Well, I don't want to keep you. If there's anything else, is there anything else you'd like to touch on today, or because you're always welcome to come back.
Thanks. I just want to say, people to support the nonprofits in the community, whether it's volunteering, donating to one you believe in, serving on a board, doing the kind of things you do. So support our
Picking up
local
trash.
nonprofit. Picking up trash, whatever it might be. So that's all.
Okay. Well,
Thanks,
thank you so
Connie.
much. I really appreciate you coming in.
Thanks.
And thanks to you viewers for tuning in today. We'll see you next week. And our guest is going to be Don Scoggins. If you'd like to be a guest on our program, please view the contact information at the bottom of our screen. And we'll see you again soon.